To our live stream here on lichess and Twitch. I am International Master William Pascal, coming to you from Budapest, Hungary, Central Europe, world Earth. So guys, we're doing serious analysis tonight. Welcome, Astrobate. A nice quote, by the way, by Capablanca. I haven't heard that. Astrobate putting in the text of a Capablanca quote about knights and bishops. How the master versus amateur perspective changes. That's interesting. Very enlightening. So, I guess as a little kid, I thought the knights were pretty cool. They could jump over stuff. That's always the most fun piece to play with, right? But we learn better. The long-term prospects for the bishops are greater. Move 11, welcome. Move 11. Every move creates a weakness. Yeah, I've always seen that quote, thinking about it in terms of just pawn moves. But obviously, you could apply it to any chess move. If I move my rook from a8 to b8, we're controlling b7 instead of a7. So a7 is less well defended. But I think it's most important when interpreted in terms of the pawn moves. Pawn moves creating weaknesses. Because pieces can move back. So, for me, that's the key to the concept. Piece moves can be corrected. You can never move a pawn backwards. That's the heart of the matter. All right, guys. So we're doing our subscriber stream today, which means game analysis. I've got submissions, and I might have missed some, so let me know if I did. I've got Antony, Mr. Slow, someone I can't read. Can't read my own writing. Well, that's weird. I guess we'll figure it out by looking at the list of messages I've got. I can't read my own writing. That's unbelievable. There's someone between Mr. Slow and Balkush. Antony, Mr. Slow, Balkush, Astrobate, Xerox, Move 11, and then one other player. I thought Bob was in the list. Actually, Princess Chess was in the list too. I'm kind of falling asleep at the switch here. Maybe Princess Chess didn't submit a game? I thought they did. I guess what I can't read is Princess. What I can't read is Princess. So that's Princess. But I felt like maybe Bob had submitted a game. I'm not sure. That explains our missing game. I've been known you did submit a game. Are you sure? You actually submitted a game for the stream, Bob? I know you sent me a couple games, but I didn't consider those submissions for the stream. Is that a separate? Was that a separate thing, or you're counting those games you sent me? Drug-inspired lunacy. Drug chess. Okay, submit it again now. I just don't know where you were on the list. But perhaps I'll find it. Brodinsky says, thank you for the game today. Was that today? I can't remember. I played a game maybe yesterday. It depends on what time zone you're in. It could be yesterday if you're in Alaska. It could be today if you're in Alaska. I don't know. I'm confused. All right, guys. I'm going to do game analysis. Let me see what we've got here. Antony was definitely first. Where is Antony? Antony. There it is. All right, Antony's in. Game for subscribers analysis on Thursday. I made I'm sure I made a few mistakes, but I like the way I played with a pair of bishops against the knights. WJ Lu, thanks for resubscribing. 16 months? 15. I need glasses, but I refuse to get them. The other day I woke up in the morning and I sent a happy birthday to someone on Facebook. But it was like happy birthday with a U instead of the I. It was like BURTH. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. That's embarrassing. Like, you care so much about someone that you sent them a happy birthday, like, misspelled. But I can't read. Yeah, it would look like it was, like, cute spelling, like I was a teenage girl or something. Hopefully that's what they thought. The obvious way to interpret it is that, like, you couldn't care less about this person's birthday. So you're just, like, typing whatever, like, kofefe, with autocomplete. The truth was I just woke up and I couldn't really see very well on my phone the small type. It looked like I typed it right, but then I was embarrassed. It has more character and originality. It's not my birthday, but thanks WJ Lee for the thought. My birthday's in December. We'll get there. Alright, so this is Game for Subscribers Analysis. Again, thanks WJ Lee for resubscribing. And for the donation, 500 Pride bits. We got 500 Pride flag bits. Very generous donation. Mr. Slow donated 5 gift subs this week. I'd like to highlight that. Along with WJ Lou, 500, Mr. Coffee, 250, and Jim, 200. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. Without further ado, I'm finally going to get this thing started, though. Because we usually, like, spend a lot of time on the early games, and then I'm like rushing through the end games, and I've got to learn to pace myself better, so I'm spending more equally spending the time, just distributing the time, an equal distribution of time. Anyway, I had my coffee already. I'm gonna have some beer now. 10 minutes each. We have 2.5 hours, which is 150 minutes, divided by 10. Technically we should have 15 minutes for every game. If we have 10 games, that's the stream. Approx. But I don't want to be that dogmatic about it. Alright, so this is Antoni. 3+2 Blitz versus Farbin. Java Stout, the best of both worlds. Coffee beer. Java Stout. We have to call it Java here. I'm in Hungary. So you have to know every J is like a Y. So I'm not like a freak or something. I really am living here for a long time. I know it's Java, but we call it Java. Like the software in Hungary, they call it Java. Tick-tock. So D4, beer and coffee. Someone was telling me about something like was some kind of rum with coffee. Is that a thing? Dominican Republic, do they do rum with coffee? Let's see. D4, D5, C4, E6, knight F3, knight F6, G3, Catalan, and then C5. Mr. Coffee, in honor of Mr. Coffee. I didn't realize. Alright, guys. I have this, like, huge glass. It's the only clean, like, large glass. It's actually like a measuring cup glass. But I'll take what I can get. G3, C5, CD5. This is not forced. White can also play Bishop G2. I don't know what's better. I really don't know. CD5 or Bishop G2. They're both a little different. I'm not going to answer all the comments because I try to focus on analysis, of course. But if you guys have a serious suggestion for the analysis, throw it out there. I'd like to really implement more concrete variation analysis if anybody wants to take part. CD5, ED5. It is possible to take with a knight. It's always safer. And this goes back to what we were talking about, by the way, guys. Just as an example of what we're talking about. The Tarash comment about move 11 and Asterbate mentioning every move weakens your position. And I talked about pawn moves particularly. So every time you have a choice between a knight move and a pawn move, the chances are like the pawn move weakens your position more in some way. In a sense, like the knight move is usually the less risky way of playing. This leaves you with 2 pawn islands. When we take with the pawn, you know, we're most likely going to end up with 3 pawn islands in the future. These pawns are going to be exchanged. Now we have 3 islands. Thus, the strategic difference is this is a riskier move, essentially. Taking with the pawn is a riskier move. So pawn takes, bishop g2, bishop d6. I've never seen anybody do this. There's no benefit in bishop d6. I mean, what does it do on this diagonal? In some positions, it might be better. In normal IQP, where you're not fianchettoed. But I mean, here you've got nothing on that diagonal. I have this one student. His name was Steve. Steve used to call this biting on granite. No, he had another eating dirt or something. Eating dirt. I think the bishop's eating dirt. Steve's a funny guy. But I had never heard eating dirt. Biting on granite is common. So, I mean, from my perspective, we don't want to put the bishop on e7 normally. That's standard. I'm not sure how bad it is. DK guy, welcome. I mean, it appears to be like a rather standard position, but the bishop on e6 now can be captured by knight takes e6. What do we want to do? There's another thing I'd like to mention here. I mean, obviously, like, white can play pawn takes pawn. I mean, shouldn't we give this serious consideration? Taking on c5. And Tony? I guess at the end of the day, it's up to you whether you want to play this move or not. There's a small chance that black can push past with c4. That's going to change position like dramatically. Then your hopes will be like hinging on e4 and b3 breaks. But this seems to me like pretty weak for black. Take here, takes. And then I was going over a couple games today with people in different positions, but the same theme all the time. What's the most important piece on the board here? When evaluating this position, kings don't count. You can't even take those. No, I mean, I think it's the bishop on g2. It's unopposed. You know, this is the key difference between white and black. I mean, you have a knight and I have a white square bishop. That's changing the play. You know, white can base this whole game on trying to make this bishop great again. So right now it's shut down by bishop d5, but that's not to say it can't come to h3, working that diagonal, or like the classic e4. And the black position like crumbles like a house of cards on the white squares when you play e4. You can hear the like crunching sound as it starts to like fall apart. I mean, so here Antoni played bishop g5. It's probably not a bad move. I'm not taking any challenges. But thank you for the challenge anyway. I don't think the bishop g5 is a bad move. But for me, the secret to the position is exploiting our advantage on the white squares. White square, white square, white square. That's a dark square. Thank you, mouse. But this is the key to the position here. Anyway, you get the point. The white squares. How do we crack the white squares open? I mean, bishop h3 is pretty limited. We can't do that much with that alone. But we've got to play for e4. Obviously, Antony getting the joke. We got to keep everything political theme going up till November. Dosuka, thanks for the challenge. No challenges today, just analysis. So now, okay. This isn't like, oh, we automatically win because we play e4. But let's say, if black lets the position open up, he's lost. Strategically lost, like this. I think we can agree here that black is nearly strategically lost in this position. This is weak, this is weak, this is weak. This is weak. There's no way like you're going to survive with these bishops raking the board. So the conclusion is that for Antony to win the game, he has to open the game. But what if black shuts it down with d4? You might be able to have a counter pawn sack with e5. But I've played a number of games where the game went something like knight e2. And now we've got to get our Nimzovich on. No one can deny white supremacy here. That's pretty bad, Mr. Coffee. That's pretty bad. Not a laughing matter. That pun, man. Well, Trump certainly wouldn't deny white supremacy here, and he doesn't even know how to play chess, obviously. All right, but anyways, the point would be a kind of, in a dream situation, we just rip open the white squares, put our pawns on dark squares, rip open the white squares. But say he doesn't let us. Say he plays like e5. You got the white diagonal here, maybe bishop h3, maybe f4 break. But I also like plans like bishop d2 and then a Nimzovichian blockade with knight e2, knight d3. I don't know why anybody would challenge me to a bullet game. If you look at my account, I have 0 bullet games for a reason. So, knight c1, knight d3. Queen b3. This is a tremendous position. Actually, Coach, it reminds me of the game I played with you a little bit in a King's Indian attack. But in your case, you had a pawn on f7, and your position wasn't as difficult. You also had control of the e5 square with a piece. That's a little different. But I think this is very strong. Bishop g5, anyway. Let's say black plays h6. Nice. Antony provokes h6. He's provoking the protesters with h6. This is kind of a brilliant idea, you know, by the way. You have lots of fun stuff here, though. Like h6, bishop f6, queen f6. Knight e4 is interesting. Queen e7. Grab the piece and play like e4 here. I mean, this is looking pretty tempting. And even going further with forcing variations like e5, you have a lot of possibilities. You could spend a lot of time trying to calculate like forced attacking lines here. For example, like sacking a pawn for open lines against the king in the center of the board. With that bishop on g2, like a nuclear guided missile. Bishops versus knights. You get a pretty good idea here, that the bishop is stronger than the knight in a vacuum. I don't know why Dobusuka just keeps challenging me. I'm doing game analysis. Let's stick to chess. Good idea. I like the occasional political joke now. Getting in the spirit of things. But okay. So Antoni wasted time with bishop g5 in order to induce a weakness at g6. But I don't know. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Man, this is slow, dude. This is slow. And another reason why, I don't like bishop e3, because we're blocking our e4 break. Honestly, another question here with bishop takes knight, I want to bring up, besides the tactic with knight e4, but honestly, aside from like a totally dominant white square bishop for white, you can play positions that are like opposite bishops for a win. a3, h3, pretty much always too slow. I definitely don't want to be playing any h3 because our bishop could use that square. But I'm thinking here, Antoni, we still should be thinking about blowing up the white squares. His only hope is d4, otherwise he's like annihilated. You have all sorts of possibilities. e5 maybe. Take it any way you want, and we have interesting attacking chances. I'm not even turning on the engine. Man, I don't know, like even f4. Here, black could probably play e5, but then you've got the d5 square. So this situation, I'm thinking like maybe bishop e3 isn't right here. You're playing too slow. You're not really opening this up for your bishops. Oh, you saw h3. Bob's skipping ahead, Bob. That's not fair. Skipping ahead, Bob. He probably did this in class too. Everyone else is on chapter 4, and Bob read like chapters 5 and 6, and he's like talking about it in the lecture. Don't skip ahead, Bob. I mean, this is obviously stopping knight g4, but Antoni played too hesitantly. Too hesitantly. I'm thinking this bishop actually would have been better on d2, so as not to obstruct e4. One experience I have is this. Knight e5, knight c4, very important concept, and oftentimes our rook might have to go to c2 to allow your bishop to retreat back to c1. I think black's pretty okay here, but he's got the b6 square. And now take. Well, two knights is probably easier to manage. Two knights against two bishops. Not a bad thing, really, when you have the two knights. White is obviously better. I mean, the break with e4 is pivotal. Yeah, and then white, after knight c4, man. Can you shut up, man? I love when Joe Biden calls people man. He did that to like one like angry voter at another factory visit or whatever. He's old school. Shut up, man. But knight c4, Antoni, what are you going to do about that? Now you've got to play bishop d4. And after e5, does anyone have a good suggestion? I'm getting a little nervous about this. Do we have bishop c3? Are these bishops truly better than knights? B7. Maybe enough counterplay for white. I mean, white's trying to hold here. What's the oracle say? Wow, oracle doesn't agree. It thinks it really likes those bishops. By the way, Stockfish is extremely bishop biased. It might even be Catholic. I don't know. You're gonna take her guns away. He said, man, so 80s. Man, that's bullshit. Can you shut up, man? All right. Wow, the computer says bishop a7 is white's best move there. That's pretty deep. You have this. Rook b1, rook takes b7. Anyway, I'm spending too much time on the first game, which I often do. All right. Maurice Ashley should be the moderator of the presidential debate. Talk about it like an NFL game or something like that. Rook on fd1. He could do like color commentary. They should get like a sport. Seriously, they should get like a sports commentator to be the Biden Trump moderator. Do like color commentary. Why not Howard Stern? Howard Stern said he couldn't stand to watch it. Yet he would probably be like the best moderator ever. All right. That'd be great, man. I would watch that with Howard Stern as moderator. Rook fd1. Knight e5, b3, rook c6, bishop d4, knight f7, rook c6, bc6, rook c1. Okay, so now it's clear. Now it's clear. The structure just went to white. Clear, favorable structure. The knight's not well placed at f7. His knight stayed passive. You're better. Can black blockade with e5? That's what he did. Better late than never, an attempt to blockade. I'm analyzing games, the games that were submitted to the stream. Ripun, did you submit a game previously? Because there's a list, and if you're not on it, you're added at the end. Bishop f1, knight g5, bishop a6 here, bishop d3. So he doesn't take the pawn on h3, he's losing c6. It all kind of came apart. Now he's just losing a piece. Knight d2, knight b3, bishop c2. Oh, you had a better way to do this. Here. Much better to do rook d1. This is a 3+2 game, though. I'm treating it like it was a tournament game or something. Man, you had bishop c4, you didn't see it. His knight's clearly trapped, but panic in time pressure, and he took on c5. And it's still a little confusing, like black could play d3 in this position. You're not getting the knight right away. But basically black went downhill for a long time. Then you let him back in the game. And now you see the blockade. Totally back in the game, man. Now the bishops are arriving again. King e3, f4. I'm starting to like this. Wow. And another pawn. So there's a lot of mistakes for this game. There really were. I don't mind cashing in now. We're basically up 2 pawns. Maybe 3. This is over. 1, 2, and basically 3, because the d3 pawn is going to fall. All you need is 2 pawns. And Tony, don't tell me you messed this up. I will give black credit for putting up resistance. King e3, not king d3. Oh no, this is still good enough. I mean, it's really touch and go now. You're only up one pawn. Damn. Probably you're winning with like h5, king f5, bring the rook over here. And if he ever tries to take your h-pawn, you probably get in there on the g-pawn, but I'm not sure. King f5. And then this is ridiculous. So is there still a chance he could survive here after king f5? Rook h4. Man, I don't know. Check, king e7. The best move is something like rook a6. Rook h3. If we get the g-pawn, we win because we have two connected passed pawns. But if you check him, he goes to f8, and it's not so simple. I'm not sure that white's winning. This got a little too close. Computer says rook a7, check, king f8. But I mean, is this winning for white? Man, doesn't look like it. Does not look like you're winning. Computer says king d5, rook takes h4. I would have assumed I had screwed it up by now. That's incredible. King d6 wins. Because this pawn can't be stopped. That's unbelievable. Support your local chess streamer. I'm not local to you. I have very few local supporters. Just no problem at all. Notch Papa and Schieberspieler. I used to be local to you. But thank you for the donation, HTFP, as a formerly local. So rook takes f4. This is unbelievable. Are we winning? Wow. Check this out. Rook a8, check. You'd have to find perfect moves. Check, you can't go to f6 because of rook f6. So the king's forced out and the pawn goes in. And this king is close enough to stop the two connectors if black sacks his rook. So we're winning here. But that got a little close. Anyway, the game was like rook takes h6, resigns. Sorry guys, that was kind of a long analysis. I tend to do a little bit too long on the first games. I will drink them. Guys, thanks for joining me. Subscriber stream here on lichess and Twitch. Bob, we got your submission. That was Antony. Mr. Slow is up next. I don't think Mr. Slow's here. He made a very generous donation of 5 gift subs yesterday. But as much as I like making political Trump jokes and stuff, I'm going to try not to get too sidetracked and focus on analysis. Shut up, man. Mr. Slow. All right. Damn, Mortisel Pro is challenging, but I can't take challenges, guys. So where am I? Mr. Slow. Please go over our last simul game. I hate going over my games against you guys. Especially the ones I lost or didn't win. I wonder if there's a clear path victory with the 2 bishops. There's always a clear path to victory. 37-minute analysis? Are you serious? I did that? Not really. I started a little bit late. Okay, that was way too long. Padre Antoni owes me an extra subscription for that. The extra long analysis. Okay, Mr. Slowhand. Playing white here with the English against somebody fishy. Clown and circus workers took offense. Anyway, I'm black here against Mr. Slow. He's playing white, knight c3, knight c6, knight f3. It's a 4 knights English. This is like... I used to play a lot with white. And e3. I remember I lost with black against Ilya Fiegler once in the US Amateur Team Championship. That guy had a good score against me. But you shouldn't play this with black unless you know what you're doing. Against Fiegler, I played bishop e4, queen c2. I played the old line here, castles. And there's this variation I've known since I was a kid. Castles knight d5, rook e8, queen f5. The English Grandmaster Michael Steen used to play, I guess he first played this. I always thought was kind of a fascinating variation. Queen f5 it's a weird line. I mean, it seems really strange to play queen f5 and move 7 with white. But I lost really bad against Fiegler. Like with black, I didn't know the theory. He's a correspondence master, and he knew the theory really well. I guess black's okay if they know exactly what they're doing. Like, surprisingly, after rook e8, queen f5, d6, knight f6 check, black has to take, let's see. I thought black has to take with a g-pawn here. That's the recommended variation. I mean, it's more dynamic. I played like queen f6 against Fiegler, but I didn't like my game. This variation doesn't have as good a reputation. Anyways, I didn't want to repeat that, and a lot of books. I know there's a kind of new book on the English. Maybe it was against the English. I'm trying to think now who wrote this book. I guess Bologan? No. Delchev. Okay, so Delchev has a book for black against the English. What is it, against English and flank pawns? Does anybody know about that book? He recommends some good variations for black. So this is Delchev's recommendation. I mean, I've known this for a long time. Bishop takes c3. Bishop c3, queen c3, queen e7, defending e5, and then black will play d5. It's basically like a reversed Rossolimo. And when black plays queen c7 in the Rossolimo, he tends to get in trouble, with the queen being exposed to attack. The same idea here, the queen will be exposed to attack with like d5. White's lost some pretty bad games. No, but I mean, I think he's recommending lines for black, DK guy. Recommending systems for black against flank openings. The book is not for white. I don't know, DK guy. You play like g3, d4, and g3, and you're making fun of the English. I'm not sure that you're really justified. But here I didn't know, a3 or whatever was a problem. Maybe I screwed up. You played a3. So I'm supposed to play d5 right away. Damn. That must be what it is. I'm supposed to play d5 right away. This is definitely best. I was playing a simul and I just wasn't really concentrating that hard on the openings. I haven't had this too much either. I recently started thinking about playing e5 against the English, so... Man, but I regret not playing d5. This is the main idea. If takes, knight takes, queen c2... I guess this is a better move, but just to show you guys what happens. If white plays too slowly here, he's going to get rolled by e4. There's also very strong development ideas of bishop g4. You could imagine things like knight to d4 happening as a sacrificial idea. If white were to play real passively, let's say castles d3, bishop g4, bishop e2, for example. You know, one has to keep their wits about them, or there could be some kind of sacrifice here. Jim being a Smith-Morra fanatic. Here, rook d8. You know, say you play something like h3. Maybe this bishop even goes back to c8, though. I would want to keep it on the diagonal. I guess this is more aggressive. Bishop h5. g4. Bishop g6. And e4. Man, that is seriously ugly. That is some seriously ugly chess. But anyways, I'm supposed to play d5. I'm 100% sure. I didn't realize this was a mistake. Obviously, I'm never playing this again. Well, no, and Coach I mean, g3 is the standard variation, but it's kind of overplayed. And honestly, the other variations become interesting because everybody plays g3. I've tried everything. Every variation. E3, D3, G3, A3, D4, E4. White has like 8 moves on move 4. For like seriously trying for an advantage. Man, this is surprising though. He just plays B4. I was just, you know, completely devastated by B4. I realized like my whole position is shot. Black has no control over the situation now. He's basically going to trade his flank pawn for my central pawn. And that's a disaster for black here. Take, rook takes, queen takes, e4, b5. We actually followed this Agderstein versus Adams, 1991. I thought maybe I had blundered and I was just like clearly worse. But this is terrible for black, honestly. I don't like it at all. I think that, if anything, white is better. So we followed the line all the way to this point. Check, and now there's 2 moves. I mean, I would assume like queen e8 check. If bishop takes d7, queen e8 check, queen d8, queen d8, king d8, bishop g2. I mean, it's possible even bishop d7 could be played. It's not clear that that's totally refuted. But I didn't really consider it. It's either taking with the queen or taking with the knight. And it looks like most people took with the queen, but I don't understand like what's wrong with queen e5 check. I thought I was just like worse here after queen e5 check. Attacking c7, you could play queen e6. Queen e6, bishop e6, and bishop takes g2. And now black can grovel for a draw here. Like, what's this? Groveling for a draw? Bowling for dollars? The computer says that black is fine, but I was like, oh, this is great, you know. Doesn't look appealing. I have a bad structure, and you have 2 bishops in an endgame. So I took the other way. Bishop g2, castles defending g7. Now, you played bishop b2, so this is the point where Agderstein played castles. I would certainly gravitate toward castles, I think, if I had the choice. But knight e5 might be the question. What are you going to do about knight e5? I didn't look at this from your perspective. White's center is insanely strong. I mean, that mass of central pawns seems to favor white. I was very concerned I was seriously worse. And I didn't think I had a lot of practical counterplay, but maybe bishop b2 is actually better. It's difficult to say. The Agderstein was like castle c5. Mickey's trying to get a grip on the center, putting his pawns in the correct color. Now f4, rook d8, queen a5, knight f6. I feel like black is groveling for a draw here. Of course, Adams wasn't that strong. It was 1991. He had just kind of cemented his status as a rising star in 91. So, but I still like white. So he plays bishop e2, stopping knight e5, f6. And we followed this random game. I think I played this guy, Kapashudi, in Budapest, actually, but it was so long ago I can't remember. It was like 2004. I think I actually played that guy. I probably beat him, but I can't remember. Some Italian FIDE master. Castles, rook d8 was played by that guy. I mean, I don't know which is better, rook d8 or rook e8, or Adams' idea of c5. But I think that white stands better here. I mean, really, what is my rook going to do on d8? Necessarily nothing special. Black is just worse. So my chance here, I thought, was to play for the white squares and maybe like an f4 break, like a Dutch sort of thing. Focusing on e4, f4 break. But the risk is that I've given up the dark squares by playing f5. He goes for it with the dark square diagonal. And now I'm just trying to kind of get more control over the dark squares, and you played that. So there's nothing really to say about this game. Of course I'm groveling for a draw. I mean, the whole opening is like groveling for a draw for black. After b4, you know. This is a game, this is against Mr. Slow. I'm black in the simul. And he played this move in time pressure, but it's a disaster. He basically like gives away his advantage with bishop takes f6. This is just a totally terrible move. He's giving away all of his edge. He sort of just panics and tries to simplify in time pressure. So obviously that's not necessary. White can make a sensible move here. Pretty much anything. I don't know if you want to trade queens though. Maybe queen a7. If it was my game, maybe I would try to trade queens because I'm in time pressure. Personally. But Mr. Slow is always in time pressure with this a big increment of 40 seconds. So he has tons of time. Bishop takes f6, queen f6. I mean, there's no reason to panic when you have a 30 or 40 second increment. It's just psychological. So here I kind of let my guard down. Because after bishop takes f6, I was like, okay, well, I'm fine now. Everything's fine. He plays queen b5. This doesn't appear to be a problem except for my rook is attacked. But I can easily defend it. Rook there. And then c5. And I realized, okay, well, that's a good break. Now my c7 pawn is a little weak. I am still a little bit worse. Takes, takes. And here, I mean, I had been thinking about f4 since I played f5 in the first moment. And obviously white's king is not perfectly safe. I mean, this is a very, very natural move. And I would play it 100% of the time if I had not been playing a simul. But, I mean, it opens the bishop. It gives me attacking chances. Yes, I'm sacrificing a pawn in some lines. I guess here, though, he can't really take. I mean, actually, this is... Yeah, this is not a pawn sacrifice. Now, actually, f4 looks really strong. He has to take on f4. And then I'm perfectly fine. It's a dead draw after f4. Queen takes f4. I don't see how, you know, either side should lose here. But I just totally underestimated the danger, and I played this. Assuming he would just like trade queens, and it would be... I was basically concerned about defending my d6 pawn. I was thinking about how do I protect d6? Can I protect d6? This type of thing was concerning me. Here, here, I don't know, rook d8. And I was calculating whether there would be any problems here, and I thought it was okay. But I completely overlooked his quiet move. After queen c5, f4 is fine. But this move has a problem because of rook c1. And now I'm screwed. Because this is attacked twice. My bishop on c8 is a liability. I just didn't see it. So now all of a sudden I'm almost lost. And I desperately tried to... I can't play like queen takes queen because of rook f7, d6. This is pinned. There's a skewer here with bishop d5. It's over. So I had to like bail out with queen g6, desperately trying for some counterplay. I didn't see rook c1, and it changes the whole evaluation. Queen c7, and now f4 is desperation. But objectively, he must have some sort of defense here. Okay, I'm threatening bishop h3. He has a minute and 40 seconds increment. I think the computer came up with some sort of defense for white. Okay, king h1. King h1, but that's hard to play in time pressure. So he found something, and white is better. It's a very dangerous extra pawn. He found the queen sacrifice, queen c8 here. f4, queen c8. And I thought he was lost, but I realized after I captured it that I can't actually like get my king out. I assumed I would be close to winning with this check, like f3, but he just takes on f4. The check on b1 doesn't do anything special. So he played e takes f4 and offered a draw, and I don't have much time left. But I realized that I don't really have any chances to win. His pass pawn is strong. He has 2 pawns and a bishop and a rook for the queen. So I accepted a draw. The computer agrees that the position is draw. But the critical moment for him was really king h1. Though a difficult move to play in time pressure. I don't have f3. I guess this is the most important thing. Bishop takes f3. If you calm down and you realize that this is not really a threat necessarily. Though this is interesting. Here, here, here. I didn't calculate this. I just played, f4 intuitively. It looks like I still have compensation because this king is so open. But I was concerned that being 2 pawns down would be lost. It might be. Here, computer is like, black might have a chance to survive. This is weak, but that's not so important. This pawn, if I win the d5 pawn, I get a draw. This doesn't matter. Like, I'm probably lost here in this kind of ending. I would imagine this is very likely just lost. Anyway, good game, man. Good game. So we're only through 2 games, guys. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing game analysis. No challenges today. If you want to play, challenge me tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. I'll be back at 11 a.m. with Blitz 5+3 casual challenges with everybody. Tune in tomorrow. That was not a bad game though, for the time control of a relatively quick simul. All right, next game was Princess Chess. Correspondence game for subscriber stream. Changing submission. Not really best play from white, but I played an opening I never play, and I'm interested if my plans were generally on target or not. Thank you, Mr. Slow. Oh no. Oh, I thought it was the other Bob. Alright. It's a different Bob. Too many Bobs around here. Yeah, rook c1. Mr. Slow knows his openings. He's well prepared in the King's Indian. He's learning this English. I mean, I feel like I was in a little bit of a disadvantage there because I only recently started thinking about playing c4, e5 after years of not playing that. I mentioned I played against Fiegler, but that was in the mid-90s. The mid to late 90s. I would occasionally play like random stuff. When I was starting chess, I remember I used to play c4, e5. I would actually play like the closed Sicilian with black. Like c4, e5, knight c3, knight c6. Alright, what's up? Princess Chess? Princess Chess is playing black here. An opening she doesn't really know. Whoa. Sorry, I don't know. This move just like got randomly put in there by my mouse. Jim, thank you for the donation, sir. Thanks to WJ Loof, Jim, and Mr. Coffee, as well as damn it, sorry guys, HTFP for your donations so far this week. Gift subs from Mr. Slow. Very generous, guys. Much appreciated. Support your local chess streamer. Support your distant chess streamer. So what, I got another game submission? Repun if I have time. I've only got 2.5 hour stream, so we get as many games as we can get in. You hard to learn the English opening, 500. It's easier if it's the first opening you play. Cheers. I started playing the English opening in 1985. So for me, it comes kind of naturally. We're not going to discuss how old I was in 1985. But I think that was my first opening book was an English opening book. Play the English by Nigel Pova. I think something like that. Mr. Slowhand just earned a new 100k bits badge. Oh my god. He just earned the 100k bits badge. That's awesome. I don't know if we've had anybody reach 100k bits badge. I don't think so. Somebody's sitting there. Mr. Coffee has 10k. Asterbay has 50k. I don't think anybody's reached the 100k bits badge until Mr. Slowhand. All right. We've got this game, sorry. So d4, knight f6, c4, c5, d5, b5. I was just asking recently, like, why don't more people play the Benko Gambit? I don't understand. The Benko was like really popular in the 80s and 90s, and then it sort of went out of fashion. But it's not like there's some refutation of the Benko. It's an active defense for black, playing for the initiative. It doesn't really like risk your king side. I would think the Benko would be like a very standard opening that would be extremely popular, you know, through all the time, all the years. Yet it seems like it's just declined. Like nobody plays it. But the question is, Coach, why do no top GMs play it? There's no like clear refutation where white gets a definite advantage. I don't get it. It's just a matter of fashion. So Princess Chess plays b5. Now white plays e3. It's kind of a... What's his name? I never can remember the guy's name. The E3 poison guy? Axel Rose. The Axel, I just can't get over Axel Rose. Once I saw Guns N' Roses in concert, that was a weird experience. I never went to heavy metal concerts, but Guns N' Roses is kind of... They're actually kind of cool for what would seem like a heavy metal band. Anyway, off the subject. You played it on a whim. I had an intro from my pop years ago. Pop openings. Just want to mention that on Tuesday last round against Xerox, we both had single-digit cent-upon loss. As I remember, we both made no mistakes and no blunders. Any special mention for that game, Mr. Slowhand? Was it a particular opening? So you played it on a whim. I mean, the Benko is a great opening, I think. I don't understand why top players don't play it. So e3, b takes c4, bishop takes c4. I mean, e3 is not a variation. However, taking an e3 is like one of white's best variations. This is David Grigo's specialty. Also Lukács, a Hungarian, very well-known Hungarian theoretician, Lukács always played e3. This variation has a strong following. I think it's actually one of White's best lines. But e3 right away, no. That's not a thing. So you're... Sorry. e3 right away is not a thing. You're probably right to take on c4. I suppose you could play g6 and just... But that seems kind of dumb, doesn't it? I mean, that would just allow him to transpose to the e3 variation. So if there's any way to take advantage of it, it's got to be taking on c4. Well, you have another option, maybe e6. This guy, Patrick Mary, he crops up all the time. I mean, he must be one of the best correspondence players. It's kind of a weird name. I never really knew anyone with the last name of Mary. It's like last name first. I've never heard of someone having the name Mary for a family name, but that is a correspondence player. He's got a lot of interesting games with kind of weird openings. What do you guys think about e6? We could transpose to... I mean, after knight f3, we're transposing to a Blumenfeld. e6 is playable. Probably not the refutation. So b takes c. That looks good. I mean, if White is ever going to play e4, he's going to be down a tempo. Alex Fedorov, Belarusian grandmaster, famous for the dragon. And beat Zuger, Swiss grandmaster. B takes c looks right. Bishop takes c4. So we didn't have to sacrifice a pawn, and White is going to have to spend an extra tempo if they want to play e4. So it looks good. I mean, standard here, I think, would be whatever Fedorov did. But possibly like d6 at some point, with knight on bd7, knight b6 ideas. Anybody else call the Benko the Volga Gambit? DK Guy, it's I think it's like on the left side of the Berlin Wall, we call it the Benko Gambit. On the right side, they call it the Volga. But maybe the border is the Volga River. Which side of the Volga River are you on? Maybe it's a German thing. If you read German chess books, they call it the Volga. Like German and Russians probably call it the Volga. But Westerners call it the Benko Gambit. Americans definitely. It was popularized, you know, by Benko and later by Lev Albert and Fedorovich. You learned it on the Volga? Alright, so d6. And now h3. Damn. That's like Antoni's a3 move. I hope that White is planning on playing g4, because I'm looking forward to that. But seriously, h3 is just insipid. It's not a Benko. I mean, it's not a Benoni or something. h3 is stupid. h3, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, and now, I mean, what's the point of playing h3 with knight ge2? I can understand you want to play knight f3 and like block the bishop g4 possibility. I mean, it does cut out knight g4. That's one maneuver in to give it some credibility. You do have knight g4 sometimes, but not in this kind of position. Your opponent is 600 points lower. All right. But we're just going to be objective about the analysis. h3 sucks. All right, castle, castle, knight on bd7, and now f4. On the topic of knight on bd7, I don't have a problem. But I am concerned about what's Black's plan, like holistically. He's got this pawn on c4. And the d5 pawn isn't reinforced by another pawn. So obviously you're threatening like knight on bd7, knight b6 with a good game. I would think. Like the Benoni, I mean, if white just crashes in with the central pawns, I mean, you could be worse. F4 is strange. I mean, you would normally play E4 first, and then maybe F4 depending on what happens. But he's playing F4 first. We can't react too slowly here, though. You know, I really want to break it open while white's played this weakening F4. So it looks like knight b6 is pretty much forced. White could consider b3, but the diagonal... I'll take this. That pawn's pretty bad. I mean, knight e4, bishop d2, bishop a6. Yeah, this is probably... Well, we can't do that. But let's just say like this is at least slightly better for black now with bishops against knights in an open position. All right, so we presume here that white's played badly, black's played correctly. b3 is not an option. He needs to find another move. Bishop b3 is the obvious suggestion. There's also this with this. But now bishop b7, e4, and then we have to activate the key idea, which is e6, and we're good. It looks like we're good here. White can break our center, but I don't like white's position. This bishop's just too strong in the long diagonal. I mean, both bishops are too strong in the long diagonals, and the pawn is probably lost on e5. Clear advantage to black. I mean, yeah, f4 is bad. f4 is bad. He has to play e4. I mean, this goes without saying. It goes without saying. It's forced. I mean, you have to play e4. He's been too reluctant to play this move because he played e3 before, but that's the e3 poison concept. You like sneak up on the opponent. Just because you played e3 on move 4 doesn't mean you promise never to play e4. Czech beer. This is Czech beer. How did you know? This is indeed Czech beer. Krusovica. So, all right. This is the best, though. What's the evaluation? The computer's calling it pretty much equal. Rook b8 with counterplay along the b file. a4 instead of e4. DK guy. That's ugly. a4 I'm not a fan of. I played a lot of Benko Decline, but I'd rather not play that unless I have to. e4 is definitely the best move. a4 makes black a little bit better on the b file. Things like rook b8, rook b4. I don't think a4 you want to play here unless you have to. Sometimes you have to. But e4 was definitely the best move. And white's okay after that. After f4, not so much. We have a serious problem. I mean, maybe this isn't so stupid. Knight c4, bc4, knight e4, bishop b2, rook b8. I didn't even want to go there. I thought bishop d2 was better, but this is horrible. Take, knight e4, bishop b2. I just assumed rook b8 was good. Oh, this is awful for white. Yeah, that's not an option. So, what about like bishop b3? Another sensible move. If bishop b7, obviously e4. And now you have fun options like c4, bishop c2, e6. I mean, it looks like black has to be better. But do be careful about this. knight coming to d4. Anytime you play c4, c5, c4 in the Benko or the Benoni, you have to be very mindful of giving up the d4 square. Many a game has been lost because the d4 square is accessible to the white knight. But here I don't think it's enough. Black's just too active. Okay, in any case, black has a better game. Queen b3. We had the possibility sometimes of a5, a4. She did play a5. There's part of what DK guy might have been thinking, you know, is in some cases like the b5 square. After a5, a4 is a much better move because now the b5 square is gone forever. So I've seen a lot of games where I've won a lot of games where I was able to just totally secure control of the square. If I'm able to control that square and take it over completely, consolidate d5, white will slowly take all the space and just win. So I'm not sure if a5 is a good move, if we really want to do that. Honestly, princess chess, I think like takes, and e6. I'm not liking white's position here. If we just simply do it this way, very, very simple. Like the economy. Just simply hit him in the center. And I don't really like pretty much anything about white's position here. Maybe e4, but we're just taking. And then any recapture, we're just better. I mean, the more the position opens up, the more this bishop just looks like enormous in all kinds of different tactical situations. You might just be winning on the white squares. You're trying to vacate the a2 square. That's deep. Planning a5 to get rid of knight b6. Don't worry, I'm going to get rid of the knight b6 like immediately. I like bishops. But if you do something like bishop e3 DK, maybe it would work. But I'm going to grab that bishop if I got the opportunity. How about bishop e5? Yeah, this is the line that I looked at. Bishop e7, e4. This is the key idea. Probably e6, always breaking with e6. Okay, so he plays queen b3, knight b6, no, a5. Okay, a5, it's a little slow, but you grabbed it. But the problem is now there's that blocker knight that can go to b5. This could backfire, having played a5. Now you have to redouble your efforts to open the position. I think it looks like e6. Man, can we play e6? Damn, we can't. Because you're just taking. I want this to work somehow. But it just doesn't seem to work. I don't see how we can sacrifice a pawn. Knight e8 c7. That's a classic Dempsey Hooligan, classic Benko plan. Sure. We'd have to hear from a Benko expert to confirm or deny the rumors about knight c7. The hardcore Benko players, they like this kind of thing. It's a little slow, but it might be good. Unfortunately, white has this other knight like reinforcing. So it doesn't feel like we're going to make headway here. The only way we're going to make headway is if we really get in e6. It's like mandatory to play e6. Here we could have problems with a5. Yeah, I mean, this looks like Princess Chess is probably too focused on that kind of classic Benko idea. But once you played a5, I think you should react centrally. Carve this turkey open. This looks good. It's possible that white has some resources. I don't know, but e6 looks awfully good. So you want to put all your money on that? on that break. Yeah, it could work. Kind of the typical Benko move, rook f8, followed by knight e8, knight c7. I'm more of the Benoni style. I'm trying to play e6 here. So that's what happens on e6. Looks like all the above. This was the one line I was concerned about. Take and rook d1. Because d6. And if I push, you got c5. So now black has to find some sort of tactical defense of d6. And knight e8 is a little passive. But white's position is just as artificial as black's, I think. e4, queen e7, and then the battle for c5 and d5 is on. It's a close game. It looks like the computer sides with you guys. Blobix, welcome. Thanks for subscribing. 17 months. It looks like the computer sides with those guys. A kind of hybrid combination of rook fb8, knight e8. But Princess Chess missed it. But Dempsey Hooligan maybe plays the Benko. I don't know. This is a very standard plan, knight e8. This was cool. Rook a3. White's showing some strength. Then knight h5. But yeah, you're on knight e8. But knight e8 supports not only the attack on b5, but also supports, well, it supports the d6 pawn, future base of your pawn chain, and knight c7 and e6. Now everything is organized. But everybody's working together here in black's position. Knight h5 is like off to the side. Hey, we'll see you later. How you doing? Okay, have a nice trip over to the other side. While everybody else is working together over here, even the bishop on g7, the other knight sort of goes off on its own. Like, I'm just going to hang out over here on the king side while you guys are working hard over there as coordinated force. Yeah, I played a lot of white sides of Benkos too. But rook f3 doesn't seem necessary. I'm like, I don't know. Then again, what do you suggest? I think white should probably play rook b3. Rook f3 is extremely awkward. What kind of move is that? And then you did the unthinkable. The unthinkable. Okay, it's not unthinkable. This was her plan all along. It's materialism. You consider knight e8? For a dragon player, I play the accelerated dragon, King's Indian. It hurts me to trade that bishop off. It really does. I feel like physical pain when I play bishop takes c3. But it's enough. I've done it when I needed to do it. I've done it before in the Benoni, the Gingy Indian. This is good enough. This is good enough. The knight is not great. It's going to end up fianchettoed on g7. You could have some technical difficulties winning this position if the knight is condemned. Maybe g4 right away, but then you've got rook b1 with a winning rook ending. So white is like a psychic. Problem is, if he doesn't do g4 right away, you might have f5, knight f6, and knight e4, game over. That looks devastating. So you played a4, but you could play f5. This is the problem. There's one line I don't like, which is knight f6 takes, rook g3 check, king f7, and then rook g5. Picking off the f5 pawn. It doesn't work. Is the rook trapped? There's a funny line here. h6, rook takes f5, king g6, e4, and then what, knight takes e4? That's kind of aesthetic. Enjoy your pawn. Yeah, this is funny. So it doesn't work. And probably f5 is very strong. I feel like, Princess, you're rushing a little with a4. Try to harmonize like everything. You need that knight to work. I mean, white should definitely play g4. No, I guess you're right though. g4, knight f6. That's just as good. You don't even need f5. So e4 is right. Here, rook e3. Yeah, white was smart to play that. So now you're struggling a little bit because you didn't get the knight on e4. Yeah, like check it out. If you played f5 here, for that matter though, you could have just played knight f6 directly and just stick the knight on e4. You're probably winning here, although this gets a little annoying too. Rook b3, e4. There are some kind of annoying variations. Even this is winning though. Here, bishop d2, rook c4, game over. Protected pass pawn on c5. Yeah, it was a pretty good game. a4, e4, knight f6, rook e3, rook b3, g4. And now you're threatening a2. So rook is stuck. Then rook b1. And then game over. 2 pawns. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Keeping the base of the pawn chain. I don't blame you for that. Here, isolating the pawn on c3. This is probably good. And it's over. Good game. All right, enough of that. So, we've got Antoni, Mr. Slow, Princess, Balkush. Guys, someone on sound is here. What's up? Are you for real? Is it really someone on sound? Damn, dude, it's not even Sunday. I think I've seen someone on sound ghost. I thought I saw you lurking a couple days ago. I saw you lurking on Sunday afternoon. Last Sunday afternoon. Alright guys, Balkush is up. Good to see someone on sound back. Balkush. Streamer. Send you game to analyze. Alright. Ignore my low rating, so I don't play much Blitz on Chess.com. Oh, don't even say it. Oh my god, it's a link to Chess.com. No. Oh. We're going to have to watch this on Chess.com. I feel sick. I'll have to move my Panda. Are you serious? You put a Chess.com game. Oh no. I clicked the link. Can you guys see? I'm going to have to move everything? Balkush is in trouble. Can't believe I'm showing a Chess.com game. Does anybody know how to quickly copy a Chess.com? I find it difficult. Like if I do share, I can do share, right? Wait, share PGN? Yeah, but if you do share PGN, yeah, it's going to work. Okay, cool. It works. I can actually do that. I copy and paste it with share. Sometimes it shows the move times, which sucks. All right, tools, analysis board, paste. He doesn't have those move times in there, ruining the PGN. Balkush is white. Well, the problem is when people do their move times on Chess.com, then it messes up the whole PGN. And a lot of people have that automatic setting. So every time I try to export one of my students' games from that site, if the times are in there, it just screws up the whole PGN. Another reason to hate them. All right. So Balkush is white. E4, E5, bishop C4, bishop's opening. You know, nobody plays the bishop's opening. It's a pretty good line. Adams used to play that. Speaking of Adams. I just want to make sure. Balkush was... I just want to make sure. He was white, right? Yeah. Sorry, guys. Damn. I can't go back now. Man, Chess.com is like taking over my browser. Get out of here, Chess.com. We'll do anything for our friend Balkush. Alright. So we tried to copy the game in. It looks like it's working. Board editor. I can't believe that he's playing this. E4, E5, bishop C4. Okay, so... But Jim, are you playing bishop C4 on move 2? Yeah, but I mean, I have no respect for that. The point is, someone unsound, who also has experimented with Urusov Gambit. You guys are like soul brothers. And did you know, someone unsound, that Jim is playing the Mora Gambit all the time? Knight f6. Balkashir is playing like the fool's mate with Queen f3. Unbelievable. Karl Yasmin Marani. He's a German guy with a Hungarian family, I guess. He played here once. Marani Utsa. So Queen f3, Knight c6. I wonder if Balkush plays like the Nakamura attack with Queen h5. Oh my god. Queen b3. So now what is this? d5? You're telling me like we have a couple of interesting lines here. Wow. I don't think I've ever seriously looked. I mean, this is just... I should start with criticizing Balkush for Queen f3. I'm kind of just assuming that he knows better than to do this, but he's doing it for fun. Like a kind of Nakamura playing Queen h5. It's probably not that bad to play Queen f3. You play it the same way you would play the Queen h5 thing. You know, after Knight c6, you play Knight e2. Then you kind of adopt like a closed structure. I don't know, d3, h3, Knight g3, whatever. But here, yeah, even this Van Foreest guy, who's really, really out of his head, he's got the Rapport thing going on. Why not just play like good openings? So you want to handicap yourself. Knight c6, Queen b3. Attacking f7. This is patently incorrect. The problem is it's the question of how does black exploit it. It probably involves something complicated. Black played Queen e7. Now why this is probably not a bad move, I have the feeling that black has something better. If you think about it, think about the fried liver attack. Right? Knight f3, Knight f6, Knight g5. What's the secret to playing against the fried liver? d5. Initiative. Sacrifice for the initiative. That's the best line against the fried liver. I think the approach here should be similar. Most likely, the best way for black to play is some kind of sacrifice for the initiative. So first of all, I want to check Knight a5. This probably doesn't work, but I just want to look. Bishop takes f7, King e7. Now, you have to check and take the knight. So let's say check, King f7, Queen takes, attacking the e5 pawn. The black king is unsafe. Knight takes e4, Queen takes e5. Alright, I'm not convinced by this. This doesn't look like anything. So we'll go back to other possibilities. Knight d4. A little bit better than Knight a5. The knight is protected. Dun dun dun. Bishop takes f7 check. Sorry, that's not a good move. Thank you for the mouse slip. Check here, King e7. Can I have the mouse slip, please? So it's game over, right? Queen c4, b5 resigns. Maybe not. Yeah, it's lost. So this is the refutation of the Balkush. It looks like Knight d4 pretty much casts serious doubt. Casting serious doubt. And now we know why white plays Knight e2 in this position. Or c3. But what does black do? Acerbate? He gets scared and he just reacts without thinking calmly. Queen e7. It's possible that black still has a good position. I mean, Queen e7, g6, Bishop g7. We're still on e4. We have Knight d4 threat in reserve. Probably Queen e7 is a good move as well. Now c3. This is a free pawn. Takes it. Thank you. The refutation the secondary refutation. So you can't play c3, I guess. Yeah, the Balkish attack just doesn't work. c3 takes. Yeah, this is bad. We're just down a central pawn for nothing. And now black will have threats of d5 later on. This was a try, I guess. At least fighting for control of d5. Grabs your bishop. You grab his. He can grab here on b3. And I think that black is winning. So, most likely white has to just move the queen. I would hope that black takes here. We can take back and have a semblance of control of the center. But it looks like bishop takes f6 is a further mistake. Black could take on... Let's count. Bishop takes e7, knight takes a1, bishop takes f8. I mean, if we could trap the knight on a1... If it were possible to trap the knight a1, I guess it is trapped. And maybe this is okay. Rook takes, king d2, and we'll get that guy. Actually, this may not be that bad. c6, unless our bishop gets trapped. No, it's questionable. All right, queen f6, queen c2, takes, and now bishop c5, knight f3, castles, knight d2, b6. I definitely think that black is a clear pawn up. Knight e4. There are almost problems with b4. I mean, b4 is already very awkward, so black is screwing this up. I mean, why b6? Why not d6? Maybe d6, he didn't like knight e4. Yeah, it's a little tricky. There's no really good way to answer that. I'm not taking challenges, guys. So b6 makes sense. Knight e4, queen e7, knight g5. Nice trap. Nice trap. Astrobate, have you ever pulled this one off? The flying knight attack with knight f6. Classic cheapo. Probably just f5. Black is winning after f5. That's Acerbate's favorite. It's a square to attack, h7. So the nice beginner tactic here. Knight f6 check, queen f6, queen h7 mate. Game over. Oops. All right, anyway, I try to be objective, but I mean, this opening is not good. You did get a nice cheapo on him. All right, Astrobate's up next. What's up, dude? Astrobate, where are you? Is this the game? Got my favorite queen theft for this week's commentary sub game. All right, Astrobate versus Etienne. Etienne Bacro. Astrobate versus Bacro. e4, d5. See? Bacro plays Scandinavian, probably. E takes d5, queen d5. d4. d4 is like the third best move for white. It's not that bad. He plays this all the time. After knight c6, you're supposed to play knight f3. Now bishop g4, bishop e2. It's a transposition. I mean, there's also e5. The Scandi considered what now inaccurate according to Stockfish? This does look familiar, move 11. Wouldn't the Scandinavian always be considered inaccurate? I mean, it's like the most against principle opening ever. Let's be black and open the position for the better developed opponent. I mean, of course, it should be inferior. I would think computers would agree. But maybe they can't see the horizon. I don't know. E takes d5. Queen takes d5. d4. Here, bishop e3. This is supposed to be bad. Oh, putting in an accuracy? I mean, maybe that's his phone or something, you know? He probably analyzed the game with his phone or something. I don't know. Local browser. That's my local browser. No, I don't know. Is that because he analyzed the game on a phone or something? Yeah. That's kind of harsh. Maybe Stockfish is getting more stringent. But the interesting thing about this line that he plays, right? Like bishop e3. If black doesn't play e5, then white has a good game. So black has to be kind of like aware of his surroundings, you know, here, and playing e5. So apparently if you don't do that, white still has a good position. Knight f6, c4. Possible that queen f5 is a good move here. Is it an issue with bishop d3? Maybe. We don't have an answer for bishop d3. That's a problem. So we don't have queen h5. We don't have queen f5. Maybe queen d8 would be the best response now. I mean, obviously white could even push d5, though. I'm not sure how bad this is. Do you want to play like knight e5? Like a Mexican defense? It's probably okay. But he gets the classic acerbate trick. Queen a5 check, bishop d2. Now what do we do? Now queen f5. See, this is where he cons people into this trap. You're not supposed to play knight on bishop d2. You're supposed to play knight c3. And black is active. So e5, we've looked at this before. e5, d5, knight d4, for example. But this is acerbate's patented trick. So if you see this position, the queen f5 is no good because of bishop d3. And white is just better. But after queen a5 check, bishop d2, now you have to go to f5. Because there is no bishop d3, and there's like d4 is just hanging. There's a threat of knight e4. But people who aren't thinking, you know, they're like, oh, okay, I'll go to b6. Look, d4 is hanging, b2 is hanging. He's caught like 10 people in this trap. This is not the first game I've had submitted. It looks like, oh, I'm just winning. I could see like a master who wasn't paying attention fall into this. Bishop c3, the queen is trapped. It's like the 10th time this happened. Obviously, if black had played bishop b4, it wouldn't work. Game over. He wins the queen. Let's see her technique here. Well, he can't play knight on bd2 anymore, so maybe it's worth it to play queen a5 check. After c4, queen a5 check. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with queen a5 check. It's a good move, but queen f5 must be played. Black must just be better here. There's like this. Sorry, the arrows aren't working for me today. This, this, this. Like every kind of knight threat. e5 break, bishop e4 check. My mouse is not being very cooperative. So he traps the queen. 10th time this week. It's unbelievable how many times this happened in his games. 1 in 3 Scandinavian players falls for this trap. Now knight b4, check here. He sees queen a4 check. Castle. He's got it down to a science now. He won the queen so many times. Isn't c6 like a good move? You should probably break his king side. I think c6 is a good idea here. I got a really high ping. I don't know what's going on. Over 150. My mouse is acting kind of weird. I'll have to stop the analysis bot. You've seen that in the lichess puzzles? Yeah, Asterbate, and why don't you just play c6, man? Shut up, man. I guess he saw knight b6, he didn't like it. I had to get that in one last time. I just can't say that meme enough. b6. Self-annihilation. Wasn't so easy here. g4 is kind of a scary move. I think you should just play h3, man. I just want to call people man. That's so 80s. Like, we called everybody man. Hey, what's up, man? Joe Biden. Totally 80s. Hey, man. Hey, what's up, man? Shut up, man. Alright. Enough of that. h5, g4. This looks weird. But winning is winning. Winning is pinning. Pinning is winning. Man, you made this a real... I said, man, I can't stop myself now. You made a real process out of this, Acerbate. What are you doing? Finish this guy off. It's almost like you're playing with him or something. Bishop g3, are you serious? You have to be kidding me. If this was Crazy House, you would put a pawn on g3. Please just put the guy out of his misery with like bishop f2. It's like you want to beat him as slowly as possible. Now he like forces you to play bishop f2, but you still refuse. I will not play bishop f2. Under no circumstances will I create a threat against my opponent. I refuse. I won't take the pawn. I'll give him the h-pawn. And now I'll play bishop f2. He's trapping the rook. Check him out. White didn't have to worry about that. Like, what about rook h1 check? Oops, queen h1. It's funny your opponent saw it. And you still don't take. Setting up the mating net. Well, actually, you're winning a rook here. I would probably take. This is actually a mate. Bishop takes b6, queen d7, bishop b6, queen c8 check, queen d7. It's like mate in 5 or something. If you take on b6. Still playing with the food. Check. And obviously don't want to play the only move. Clearly don't want to play king a7. Why play king a7? Is there a mate? Well, you do have a mate anyway. Rook a6, rook a8. That's the immediate mate. All right, man. I don't know what you were thinking there, but bishop f2, you were avoiding that for so many moves. Like you were torturing him. Thanks, Acerbate. Nice trap. So Xerox game. Maybe this was a game that that Mr. Slow was talking about, because Xerox submitted this. That's why it was so ringing a bell. When no, he submitted an old game against Bombast. I thought maybe he submitted that game with Mr. Slow, but maybe it was a draw or something. Xerox against Bombast. Haven't seen Bombast for a while. So what is a bombist? Is that like a person who like plants landmines or something? Does anybody know? Bombist is like Ukrainian. So what would the Ukrainian translation of... What would the translation of bombist from Ukrainian to English be? Is a bombist like a person who like... A bombist on board? Do you work on like a bomber and like drop the bombs? Do you plant like terrorist bombs? Or do you like plant landmines? Xerox against Bombast. Because there was this old account on ICC years ago, Tankist. The guy was like a tank driver. I'm just thinking they're like related. Tankist, Bombast. e4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, d4, d6, knight f3. It's cool to see an Alyukhin. Don't see too many of these. This is the old line. That's what I play. But I don't think any like top Alyukhin's players play this. This is popular with like in the Lev Albert era. But it seems like every modern Alekhine player plays some kind of other sideline. Still the main move. Now c4. Top, yeah, that is funny, Blobix. Good point. Bombast. Yeah, let me see something. There was a song. The Fall. That's what it is. Bombast was a song by The Fall. Does anybody like The Fall? Really awesome. Though he died like 2 years ago now. The lead singer of The Fall, the creator of The Fall. They were, and they still probably exist even without him, I don't know, but Bombast was a song. I listened to that album. Alright, Bishop g4, c4, knight b6. Yeah, Marky Smith. He died like 2 years ago. He obviously, he lived kind of a hard life. But great contribution to the music world, man. That guy was a genius. So c4, knight b6, and this is the line you played against me, Xerox? Was it you? This is the line you played against me? Was this first? Or was this... Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Didn't you play the same line against me? Yeah. So this is your pet line. Where did you get this from? I looked this up, I don't know, after we played that. It's pretty interesting. Oh, I remember like Vital Levente came on stream and I asked him if he had ever seen this. Oh, that there's old game here. Yeah, check it out. 1981, Vita Lynch versus Bagirov. That's ridiculous, dude. That's like two Alekhine players like battling it out for the Alekhine Defense Championship or something. I mean, those Latvian guys are like the biggest experts in the world. Bagirov wrote the book on the Alekhine defense. I have the book. And Bagirov taught, you know, like Shabalov to play the Alekhine. It has a tradition with Latvian players. Obviously, Tal didn't necessarily play the Alekhine. He has a famous game with White against Larson. But, so it's known. But I never recall, like, studying this in the book. It's funny. It's probably some obscure sideline. But Vita Lynch was a really creative player. He had a lot of original ideas in the openings. Really some too extreme to play. He played b5 against the classical Nimzo, which I like to do for fun. Queen c2 against the Nimzo, black just plays b5, sacrificing a pawn for almost nothing. Borderline crazy. But I didn't know this was a variation till you played it against me. I might have encountered it once and not really realized what was happening at the time. But against you, I tried to take the pawn. Now, the really weird thing, right? Check it out. Wendy, check it out. So, check it out. Not one person took the pawn. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, in the Queen C2 classical Nimzo, Capablanca variation? Yeah, like a Benko Nimzo. You just like play b5. Here, have a pawn. No, but Vita Lynch actually played, I think I don't remember if he originally played like c6 or a6 after cb. Maybe he tried both, but it's really dubious. But it's fun in Blitz. A Benko Nimzo. You just go psycho, like sacrificing all your pawns and stuff. But it's funny that I played d takes e, and then Bombas played d takes e. But there's 5, 8, 9 games here. Now, how do you explain that not one person took the pawn? I can't believe it. Kampora Kaidanov, 1993. Bagirov himself. There's another game with Vitalinch against Kengis. I just can't believe that none of these guys came to the conclusion that they should take the pawn on e5. I'm going to imagine the Latvian guys probably played a lot of Blitz games that aren't in any database, so they knew. But let's see what the Oracle says. When you played this against me, I didn't know. I never remember facing this. So the Oracle agrees that e6 is the best move. This is a refutation. It's kind of like the pre-move. Yeah, it's like a pre-move. My friend Zako Lincic plays this in Bullet. The pre-move Pierce, so I can take the knight on f6. The intentional pre-move. You do this in Bullet so you can take people's knights on f6. I mean, this is what a grandmaster has come to playing Bullet chess, and you're intentionally playing e5, hoping the black player pre-moves knight f6. That's what chess is about? Like, seriously? That's what we've come to? Where an international grandmaster would do that? Balkush, you missed your game. You'd forget your head if it wasn't attached. Alright. So anyway, my mouse is acting kind of funky here. But this is funny, you know. I like taking too. It's totally playable. I'm just kidding, man. You don't have to be sorry. You don't have to be here. It's just a joke. So e6 is best move. I got away with taking against Xerox. But e6 is the best move. So it's kind of like a trap. Like Xerox knows this isn't good, but he figures people are going to try to take the pawn. Magnus said, that is so cheap. Of course. It is. It is cheap. But Bullet is not chess. Yeah, I don't bother. So h3, takes, c6. Did I play c6 as well? I would imagine I did. Not a lot of other options. I might have played g6, though. That's the other move I would consider here for black. I had the same variation with Xerox, and I can't remember if I played c6 or g6 first. Maybe I did play c6. I later played like knight c8, I think, against you. My favorite maneuver. I think I played c6, but I remember making the maneuver knight c8 to d6 to blockade the pawn on d5, which was a nice Solani. He played pretty much the same thing what I did, except he's not taking on d5. Let's see, bishop e3. No, we had the same game, I think. I was waiting for you to take here, and I'll just like take with the pawn. Even queen takes is good, actually. So bishop e2, castle, then h4. See, if you play routinely here, you're going to get blasted by f5. So I would think like g4 might be not that stupid. I'm going to turn off the engine. It's just sucking up too many resources for my computer. g4 might be good. Do you have time for it? I mean, this way you could play it depending on what happens, castles queenside, or even just put your king on f1. I mean, the idea is that if I play, or if Bombas plays f5, I mean, it's going to be a very dangerous situation here. Thanks to MC Hood again for the donation. h4, pawn takes pawn, and then f5. Computer says it's dubious, but I mean, it's like, well, how many options does black have here? h5 looks worse. h5, g4 is really, really scary. So, I mean, his only other option is basically knight d7. But I talked about this earlier today. So when you have an unopposed bishop, like Xerox has here, like the first game we went over today with Antoni, you have to look at the position and start to really focus on that complex. Is there a way that my super bishop, because it is a super bishop, can I play like Kaidanov? Speaking of Kaidanov, can I play a Kaidanov Averbach King's Indian maneuver with like bishop d1, bishop e3? I don't know. We're looking for white squares. He's got this tactic on the diagonal. Possibly d6. Obviously black is banking on e4. But maybe Xerox can even sack a piece. It's very possible. It's very possible that if it comes to it, like maybe we can sack a piece and get a very strong attack with h5, e4. You know, something like h5, e4, knight e4, pawn e4, queen e4. We sacked a piece, but we have a raging attack on the white squares, the h-file, queen in the center, etc. So now rook d1. I mean, it's tough for white to decide. Castle queenside, rook d1, or just not castle at all. Is this move too slow? Maybe. I mean, if e4, what are you going to do? I think you should just go for it. I think you should just play h5. And then let the pieces fall where they may. Like after e4, knight e4, we go for it. It feels like you probably have enough here. There is possibly one problem. Queen takes d5. That might kill it. We can't trade queens. So, and there's no bishop c4. Maybe you have another way to do this. But that kills it. No, he's got it. He's got e6 and everything's protected. It doesn't work. We can't just stand by where we're getting crushed by e4 though. It doesn't look like it works. Let me refresh. h5, e4. So there's a move here I looked at, but I dismissed this because I thought that black had f4. But it's not. Now we're actually winning with queen e6 check. So he can't play e4. If he can't play e4, we're golden. If f4, we just like play bishop c5 or something. For example, f4, bishop c5, knight bd7, bishop a3. Everything's fine. Now we control the e4 square. So Xerox just hesitated here, you know. h5 is very strong. He who hesitates is lost. Rook d1. It's a little slow. I was concerned about e4, but maybe you're still... You can't sack a piece now, but I mean, maybe you're still good. With queen h3. Anyway, there's more game to it. h5. So Bombas figures he's not going to try e4. But I still don't really see why we can't play e4. I would be a little nervous here with black. And then bishop h6. So what else do we have? Queen h3, king f7. This is clearly his idea. There's also knight f6. You could attack the g6 pawn with queen g3, but I don't see a follow-up. King f7. Even queen e8 is possible. Theoretically. But rook c8 is a very calm move in a scary situation. hg6, hg6, bishop h6. So apparently, according to the engine, d6 is best. All the white pieces are in the game. That's true. Every single piece. But it must hinge on, like, knight here. Is white really going to just play, like, knight b5, knight d6? And everything's cool? That's amazing. I would have underestimated this move as well. But you do have the rook on the file. I mean, that's actually pretty strong. I never would have played a move like rook c8, though. I don't know how he can play a move that slow. Do you know one of the first things I did against Xerox when I played black was play knight c8? I was very concerned about this. I mean, in earlier position, probably like something like this, with the idea of knight d6. Because it guards b7 as well. He can play knight d7 whenever he wants. But I mean, to control that passed pawn, it's fundamental. So it's actually better to play it like I did. He doesn't blockade d6 at all. You miss your opportunity. Bishop h6, take, king g7. Wow. This is understandable. He forgot, like, this is a thing. He figured he was fine. Total overconfidence. King g6, queen h5 check here. Wow, it's mate in 7. That's crazy. But the bishop h5 is perfect. Wow, so just queen g5 check. That's beautiful. And then king d2 and walk over. Classic. Oh, you did rook. So someone mentioned king d2. It's a little more aesthetic to do the king d2. Balkush. The Balkush attack. The Balkush variation. Rook d3. And that's it. Good game, man. But Bombas should learn from my Mark Hebden King's Indian blockading maneuver with knight c8, knight d6. Alright, so Xerox is out, move 11. Move 11 in Ripun. Alright. Where's move? Oh, I still got Bob. We almost forgot poor Bob. I only have 20 minutes left. We'll have to leave out Bob. Sorry, Bob. Ripun is last. He was the last one. I'm just kidding, Bob. Black deserves this for playing this opening? No, I don't think so. The Alyokin is cool. Actually, Xerox's variation is Coffee House. But it's fun. Both Bombas and myself got caught not knowing e6 is the right move for black there. This week I'm submitting a blitz game from lichess. Alright. Move 11 white. A blitz game. Another acerbate variation. No. He played knight f3. We could still get a transposition. Acerbate doesn't like knight f3. He likes to develop his bishops before knights. I was trying to tell him today. Well, I mean, there's a very different thing. I'm notism. It's very strange for me to compare the French and the Scandinavian. They're like polar opposites. French often leads to totally closed positions, and the Scandinavian is totally open. I can't really agree with you there. I guess they're just things you don't feel like you like to play. ACL Chess is rating with a party of 8. Thank you for the raid. Guys, we have like 25, 30 minutes max. left. I'm going to try to get to the last 3 games. Thanks very much for the raid from ACL Chess. Knight f3, bishop g4, and now bishop e2, e6. So that looks like a reasonable move. I've never seen this. What's wrong with e6? I hate the French too, but I know why I hate the French. Because I just generally don't like playing really locked positions unless I have tons of time. This is correct. Bishop g4, though. It's not the only move. Knight c6. Yeah, what do we get? Knight c6 again. Now, the problem with knight c6 here is knight c3. Alright, we've been through this before with move 11. Knight c6, you have to play a weird Scandinavian with your knight on c6. This is the Raprincev variation. It's not regarded as very good. Okay, so that's why he can't really do that. Bishop g4, bishop e2, and now e6. I have to admit I've never seen this. It's just a little passive. Karpov Anatoly. Sabrina Vega Gutierrez. What is that, like a simul or something? I mean, Karpov Anatoly 2016. Are you serious? We can't take Karpov seriously anymore. All he does is like exhibitions and stuff. He's playing the Scandinavian, for Christ's sake. Karpov didn't play the Scandinavian? What's he doing? It sort of makes me sad to see that, you know. A player, one of my favorite players, who I absolutely respect, is playing the Scandinavian. It's not Karpov, you know. That's like he's been abducted by aliens, and they've like brainwashed him into playing the Scandinavian. Bishop e2, e6, d4. Yeah, I mean, e6 isn't right. It's not active enough. Black's supposed to play knight c6. We could transpose to like a main line here. But move 11, we decided on h3. Yeah, h3 is the best. We try to get this exchange. Bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3. White is slightly better. Alien version of Bartholomew. Karpov, there's no reason for him to play the Scandinavian. He doesn't really play chess. He hasn't played chess since like 2000. d4, knight f6, c4. So this is awfully close to like a c3 Sicilian style position. c3 would transpose to c3 Sicilian after c3 c5, but obviously you don't want to play c3. I don't know. I would think like bishop e4 check. Bishop e4 check, knight c3. Frank de la Paz. I think he's Cuban. What do we do? c4, queen d8. Martha. There's a number of games here, so we actually transpose back into theory. I mean, did you do something wrong, though? I mean, after e6, man, it seems like you should have something here. How can black just go out of book and then go back into book, like on the next move? Yeah, I agree. Dempsey Hooligan suggesting castles. I mean, it seems like there's some way that black shouldn't get away with just transposing with this quiet move e6. Castles, nothing wrong with that. Knight f6, and now d4. I mean, white's certainly better. There's still a lot of games here. Tons of games, surprising. These positions drive me crazy, I don't know. It's so amorphous. So d4, knight f6, c4, queen d8, knight c3. White is better. And then h6. Are you serious? Do you think you can play h6? Black doesn't realize how dubious his opening is. If he thinks that he can play h6 in a position like this, I mean, that is super slow. You have no business playing h6 in an open game. Of course, like c6 is probably transposing to something. Pretty much anything but h6 here. Knight bd7, c6, bishop e7. I mean, even c5 might be better than h6. Can I play c5? Is this crazy? I bet it's better than h6. It's the #1 move according to the engine. Oh, that's sick. See, I just like a novelty machine. I mean, c5 is more active. Of course we should consider it. h6 is ridiculous. White should be clearly better after that. Castle, bishop e7. Now you played h3. But I mean, isn't there a problem here with the b7 pawn? I mean, does black really want to play queen c8? Shouldn't you play like this? By the way, he has to play queen c8, but that's not really a good thing for black. It's like a bad London system when you have to put your queen on c8. This is not great either, but I think it's like a moral victory for white. You can follow up with like rook d1. Really active position for white. I think this is excellent. So queen b3 should be considered. It almost feels like move 11 helped his bishop go to a more sensible place. It almost makes h6 look relevant, you know, when you go h3, bishop f5. Now you play queen b3 and b6, weakening his white squares. White's still better, like d5. This d5 push could be very strong. And now this, oh my god. What do you mean you didn't fianchetto your bishop on b7? So this is the problem with that bishop. If it were on b7, black would be okay. Let's put the bishop on b7 and then push this h-pawn back to h7. And black would have like a reasonable game, and still black would be worse. But here, we're looking at like knight e5, potentially knight c6, and utter devastation. Man, is black just lost here after knight e5? What is he going to do? It's a close encounter of the third kind with knight c6. If you take, you get hammered by take, knight d7, queen a4. Game over. Because c5 is guarded by bishop takes. It looks like he doesn't have a move. Yeah, bishop f3. Man, this is over. This is crushing. Bishop f3 with that diagonal. Black never should have played b6. I mean, you've got to play queen c8. That's the only chance in this position. You can't weaken your white squares worse. Yeah, this is like over. So I would just calculate, is there a way he can get out of this? He has to play something horrible, but you're right. You know, bishop f3 is the nail in the coffin. There's no way this is okay for black. +2. Knight e4 is his best chance. Move 11 missed knight e5. This move is probably good too, but not as good. If he's able to make you close the line, he would be alright. So what are you going to do? Take with a knight? My expectation was take with a pawn. Move 11 had a different plan though. He just like opening lines with knight takes d5. Maybe black has a better way to play it. This is still devastating though. That's just as devastating or worse. What if he were to like sacrifice a pawn? Knight c5. What do you do? Bishop takes c5, bishop takes c5, take your free pawn, and then he's just like, all right, whatever, queen e7. You know, maybe it's not that bad for black. What are you going to do? Take here? Okay. Rook takes. Obviously you want a pawn, but I mean his remaining pieces are very, very active in this position. So knight c5 looks like a real try. And your queen is unfortunately placed. You could play queen b5, queen c6. Yeah, this is totally okay. He has to remain calm and find this move. That's the problem with d5. But I guess the way he played it, you know, he's just like hoping that you play pawn takes pawn and close the d file, and he'll be somehow surviving. Actually, pawn takes pawn, knight c5. But now knight takes, he may have problems. Maybe this isn't so great either. You just got bishop e6. Yeah, you just don't have enough here. It looks like he's sort of creeping away. Bishop e6. You got to find a good move. It feels like black's all right now. He can just creep away, queen e8 or something. Still not 100% all right. There's knight d4. You play queen d1. I don't think you're that much better anymore. Knight d4 is the only try. That's the key move. Queen d1 is probably okay. I mean, you're clearly not worse. But black is hanging on now. And this is your only thing with knight d4. And let's say he plays bishop d7. You have Dempsey hold against bishop f3. But it looks like black's surviving. But instead he found a more active move. Oof. So this gets funny now. I think black should be happy to equalize, but at some point he gets a little greedy. I mean, I would probably have been like bishop d7. I'm happy to be okay here. This might be good, though. Still black's all right. Now black just needs to be calm. But the problem is it's not easy. I mean, what's he supposed to play? Like king h8? Maybe king h8 here. And then missing this check. He went to h7, obviously because of the threat of king h8, queen d2, queen h6. You've got a check. He plays g6. And this is very interesting. Now you have queen h5. But it doesn't do anything. So you have to take the knight. And it's a funny position, but unless you can get an h4, h5, it may be hard to break through. Do we have time for h4, h5? He's going to sack the exchange. His queen has moves. You have stuff like queen c2 here. But you need to defend your bishop first. So what about like rook e3? Damn, rook e3 with this? Maybe you're still winning here. You might just still be winning. He has time for rook e8 though. Rook e8? Which rook e8? Close. Close, but no cigars. You're winning according to the engine. I was looking at this. If rook d8, rook h5. Ideas of rook e5, rook h5. What did he play? So you pulled the knight back, but I don't think you should. Rook e3 is really strong. It's just a blitz game. Anyway. Eliminate any piece he can. And so, well, this way you end up winning a piece, though, so he can't take that. What happened here? Yeah, and I don't know what to say. You're winning anyway, I guess. 95 here, take, and you're winning. Until that. And then you dropped a piece. Eventually you won anyway. It was perfect. Perfectly played. And then mate. Where's the mate? An odd sequence at the end here. You hesitated there. Not seeing rook e7 before. Alright. Yeah, there's a lot to be learned from that, though. There was a lot to be learned from that game. Even though it seems like a badly played game with a lot of mistakes, I think there's a lot to be learned there. We only uncovered like some of the stuff that was going on. But I mean, fantastically complicated positional and tactical game. Move 11. I feel like you made significant mistakes where you could improve your play. And I only saw like a fraction of what was going on there. So, our Rapunzel. No, we got Bob first. Guys, we gotta go soon. I've got 15 minutes. 2 games left. Bob's submission for Thursday. Final submission. Bob versus Xerox. It's a Xerox double shot. Alright, Bob is white. So Bob plays d4. Positional player. He's not going to buy that playing knight f3 here is safe. cd4. I try to tell people to play this. I really, really do, but nobody ever seems to take my advice. This is a great variation. The one time I played this with white, I lost, and I was like, I'm never going to do this anymore. You know, it's just not fun, like losing the initiative and having to defend after 5 moves with white. Look at Black's score. He has a great score. You know, like probably overall, only slightly better for white. It's a gambit variation. Bob didn't challenge it. You're supposed to play knight b5, d5, c takes d. If knight takes d5, you win a piece with queen takes d5. That's the idea. Knight c7, check. It's a pawn sacrifice. Bishop c5, and black takes the initiative. I highly recommend this for black if you want something aggressive. Personally, I don't play it because it doesn't really fit with my repertoire that well. But I would recommend and have recommended it to other people to play. So knight takes d4, e5, and Bob doesn't know the theory, so he reacts with kind of like a normal move. You have to play knight b5. Knight b3, knight c2, and knight f3 are all inferior. So knight f3 seems like the more aggressive of the other moves. You're counterattacking against e5. That's not really a threat immediately because of queen a5 check. So black plays knight c6. Maybe Xerox should play bishop e7 and hope that Bob hangs a piece with knight takes e5, but not really a good square for the bishop on e7. So knight c6, knight c3, and then bishop e4. But this is fundamental. Black's playing for d5 and equalizing. I think I looked at this. Black is white and white is black. No, I think I looked at this. It's not that easy for black to say, like, play for a win. It's kind of tricky. So bishop d2, then what do you do? Castle. Something feels weird about taking on c3 unprovoked. It may not be that bad, but yeah, that doesn't seem right. Other options for black here. Well, I mean, obviously, let's see, the pawn e5 is an issue. You could play e4. How do you feel about this? I mean, fundamentally, Xerox, e4 looks like a powerful move. I think this should be seriously considered. e4, knight d4, and we go d5. It's like a queen's gambit accepted with colors reversed. Some kind of strong gambit line. This looks totally good as an alternative to what you did. Different style of position. Okay, knight f3, knight c6 here, bishop e4, bishop d2. Bob is like Grande Zuniga. Alright. He's the Grande Zuniga of the stream. He doesn't know any openings, but he just has sort of natural feel. So bishop d2. Castles is the most common move. I mean, what can white really do? Play a3. You take. He takes. I was wondering if black, if you can even take this pawn. Can black sack a pawn with like d5? Sack a ponda? An unplayed try. Stockfish isn't sure if black has enough compensation. It's interesting. So bishop takes c3, knight e4. Queen c2, knight takes. It's like a nimzo. Black just equalizes. C d5, queen d5. But it's a pretty boring position. It's amazing that Strikovich was able to win this against even a 2260. Honestly. Very, very boring position. That guy like totally equalized. So anyway, back to the game. Bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, and then Xerox here. I don't know, man. That's why I was suggesting d5. I don't like playing d6 and getting backward on the d file. But perhaps you have enough play. e3, knight e4. I might prefer rook c1. But I guess queen c2 is alright. And you just take. Yeah, if you try to get fancy with like bishop f5, bishop d3. So take. The position is very simplified. And black feels slightly worse because of the backward pawn here. But it's probably not a big deal. I don't want to talk about h6. That reminds me of the Acerbate game. No, it was Move 11's game. h6 is popular. Now, h6 is not a good move. Now, rook d1. Maybe Xerox was considering g5, but you could just go for it. Just go for it right away. Alright, h6 is bad. Rook d1, queen e7, bishop e2, castle, rook d8, and then good move b4, rook d7. Yeah, this is really strange. I don't think that black's position is that bad. I mean, clearly like bishop g4 appears to be a normal move. Xerox underestimated Bob. Rook d7. White looks better strategically. Maybe with simple moves. I wasn't sure about this. c5. This might allow black to equalize. I even thought that black might go for it with d5 here. I wasn't sure. Rook d7 is awkward. I have to do that in the Richter Rouser sometimes. You're never happy about rook d7 with the bishop on c8. So this isn't really good though. It looks like Bob lost a lot of his advantage doing that funky c5. Black is okay now. Theoretically, black has a better structure, but he's weakened that h6 unnecessarily weakened a lot of white squares. I think the game should be a draw, probably. But now Xerox has the better structure. Had the better structure. Correction. Now it's a draw. Off for a draw. Off for a draw. And then queen trade is definitely a draw. Xerox persists. Maybe Bob made a mistake with rook b1, underestimating rook c3. He should have played rook d6 with a more active rook. Underestimating or just missing rook c3, this is kind of annoying. Now, if we play rook d6, there's no way we're going to lose. I think. It's a draw. Is there a way we can mess this up? Yeah, the black king comes to the center. All three pieces are good. Black's pieces are more active. g4 is random. Bob's not centralizing his king enough. He goes for the counterplay here against g7. But I'm scared of that a-pawn, you know. I wonder if black should play like, okay, g6, knight e7 check. So then he starts getting these like checks, but why? Why should Xerox go backward? Maybe that's right. Here, b5, check, king c6, check, king c5. What's happening on king c5? So Xerox hesitated here. King c5 looks like it's winning. What's wrong with king c5? He's faster than Bob. He must have hallucinated. Why do you want to retreat here? Yeah, that's a very strange move. The engine actually started going with king b7, but I don't get it. It's a strange move. But this was his idea. Yeah, no need for that. It got a little complicated now. Oh man, Bob saves the game with knight takes b5 check. Bob was a little lucky there. Then dropped his knight for good measure. Just when everything was okay, he just dropped his knight instead of knight a3. That's it. Knight takes c3! Exclamation point. Alright guys, last game. I'm going to do this game by our last minute submission by Ripun. Alright, lichess. So he's... Don't know. I'm going to assume that Ripun was white. It's white wins. Or maybe it's not his game, somebody else's game. I'm not sure. We don't have a story with this game. That's weird. Is this the right game? Ripun. This is the game he submitted. Alright, I guess just a friend of his. Well, whatever. We'll take a look. So, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6, knight g5, d5 takes. And black played the fried liver, or allowed the fried liver with knight takes d5. Yeah, I don't recommend playing knight takes d5. This is not bad. Like b5, knight d4, those variations are totally playable. But the tried and true move is knight a5. Knight a5, check, c6. It's complicated, but black should be okay if you know what you're doing. But if you're not, you know, well versed in this, I mean, this is just bad for black. And this has been known forever. I wonder, there's not a lot of options. I mean, you pretty much have to play knight takes f7, king f7. Oh, another suggestion, if you ever want to have fun, Asterbait, you should play the Wilkes-Barre. Traxler, sorry, this is the Traxler. I get that confused all the time. Just for fun, the Traxler is cool. If you know what you're doing. I would imagine like a lot of people with white don't bother to check this variation enough. They might get caught not knowing the theory if you're really, really well prepared. Probably theory says that black is worse. But maybe it's worth taking a look at. If you want to have fun with bishop c5. So d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5, knight f7, king f7, queen f3 check, king e6. And black didn't know. He didn't know. So after king e6, this is the fried liver attack. And, I mean, computers have pretty much refuted this, as far as I know. Funny, looking at the score here, though, it's not totally decisive. Knight c3. And then black has two moves, this or this. And I don't know which is better. I guess knight b4 is more active. I can't believe that Solskjaer played this for black. But he also plays the Cochrane Gambit for white. But it doesn't seem like a good idea to play this with black against Shirov. He's obviously crazy. Anyways, black didn't know it, so he played king e8. Bishop takes d5. Now there's a mate threat here. I don't know, like in a practical game, maybe it's safer than playing king e6. So we can still hang on. Queen d7. I never really thought about this, to be honest. Black is queen d7 or queen f6. We don't like trading queens when we're down material, but if black, gets the structure fixed with something like queen f6, it takes good technique to win a position like this. Not so easy for white to win with this extra pawn. The other option here with queen d7 makes me wonder, how easy is this to win with white? So let's see what the engine says. Queen f6 is better. Look what the computer wants to play. Queen f6, bishop takes c6 check. Queen c6. But I mean, this is a disaster, structural disaster. You're down a pawn with a structural disaster. I don't think that you should do that. The computer doesn't take practical considerations. Maybe Leela does. But, I would just play b takes c. And if you want to trade queens, you're going to have to fix my structure with queen takes f6, g takes f. That's weird. Why wouldn't you take with the b pawn here? So there's some kind of analysis the engine's finding with queen e2, but I'll take my chances with this. I'd much rather play this for black than take on c6 with my queen. End up with like 4 isolated pawns. So it's not so easy for white to win. This is probably the worst move. Dropping a piece. Bishop takes c6, b takes c, queen c6 check, game over. I don't think there's any way the queen can get trapped or something. Here, takes. Black would need like 5 tempi to trap the queen. So black's just a beginner, dropping the rook there and losing. And then white drops the queen. Maybe it's a joke. It looks like a joke. Queen c6, castles, queen takes c2, rook e1, queen c5, bishop f4, king f7. Maybe it's a handicap game. Not a serious battle. Black comes back and nails it down. Too much material. Mate on f1. On the way. No. But he does lose a rook. Double threat. This and this. So, there's no defense. Losing that. King comes in for mate. It's over. Hopefully we don't get our king mated, because this looks like a good try. If you want to lose, this is knight f3 is at least a draw, if you allow that. Yeah, I mean, obviously like king g3 here is forced win. And then he allows mate in 1. Okay, that's a good one. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be back tomorrow. This was pure entertainment, this last game. I'm going to be back tomorrow with Blitz at 11 o'clock CEST here on lichess and Twitch. Thanks, everybody, for the support, for tuning in. I appreciate it for subscribing and your donations. Is our stream still cool? Yeah, we're still working. All right, my Twitch froze. But anyways, guys, we're going to be back 11 a.m. CEST tomorrow. It's been my pleasure to host you. And I guess I'm tired because I can't talk. I will see you guys then. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And thanks for the Panda. Thank you, guys. Tomorrow morning. Fast Blitz 5+3. Casual. See you guys then. Bye-bye.